The rabbit hole facility lived up to its name. 2,000 feet beneath the desert, Marcus stood watching through reinforced glass as medical personnel treated Nyara's wounds. The alien ambassador lay conscious but quiet, her bronze skin's patterns flowing like liquid metal under the harsh medical lights. The crystal from her capsule had grown cold in his pocket, as if dormant without her presence. Her cellular structure is unlike anything we've ever seen, Dr. James Henderson reported, adjusting his glasses as he reviewed the medical scans. The bioluminescent patterns aren't just decorative, they appear to be a secondary nervous system, capable of processing information faster than our most advanced quantum computers. Colonel Winters stood beside Marcus, her arms crossed. "And you say she showed you visions?" "More than that," Marcus replied, unconsciously touching his temple where Nyara's fingers had made contact. "She didn't just show me images. I felt the truth of what she was saying. The Shadowkin are real and they're already here." "That's a hell of a claim, Captain," a new voice interjected. Marcus turned to find Director Philip Walsh entering the observation room, his expensive suit out of place in the utilitarian facility. "Alien infiltrators hiding among us? Sounds like something from a bad science fiction movie." Marcus felt an immediate dislike for the man, though he couldn't explain why. Something about Walsh's too-perfect smile set off warning bells. "With respect, sir, I saw them myself. They were willing to kill to get to Nyara." "Ah yes, our mysterious visitor." Walsh approached the glass, studying Nyara with an intensity that made Marcus uneasy. "Who crash-lands on Earth with warnings of invasion and claims about humanity's hidden potential. Quite convenient, wouldn't you say?" Inside the medical bay, Nyara's golden eyes suddenly snapped to Walsh. Even through the glass, Marcus felt a charge in the air. The crystal in his pocket warmed again, and for a split second he saw something else overlaid on Walsh's form, a writhing darkness that made his skin crawl. "Director," Nyara's harmonic voice came through the intercom. "Your thoughts betray you. The others may not see what you truly are, but I do." Walsh's smile never wavered, but his eyes went cold. "And now she makes accusations. Colonel Winters, I'm assuming direct control of this facility under National Security Directive 47. Captain Reeves and Dr. Henderson are relieved of duty. Our visitor will be transferred to a more secure location for proper interrogation." "You can't do that," Marcus started, but armed security personnel were already entering the room. He noticed their movements were too smooth, too coordinated like puppets on strings. "Stand down, Captain," Walsh said, but Marcus saw Nyara's urgent expression through the glass. The crystal pulsed with sudden heat. "Trust your instincts," her voice echoed in his mind. "They're stronger than you know." Marcus acted without thinking. He grabbed Julia's arm with one hand and Dr. Henderson's lab coat with the other, pulling them behind him as he backed toward the emergency exit. "Jules, remember that summer at Bishop Rock, when we found the cave?" Colonel Winters' eyes widened slightly at the coded message, their old emergency signal. She gave an almost imperceptible nod. "This is unfortunate," Walsh sighed, his perfect facade cracking slightly. The guards raised their weapons with eerie synchronization. "You could have been useful to the Great Liberation." The next few moments were chaos. Julia slammed her palm on the emergency protocols panel while Henderson frantically typed an override code into his tablet. The medical bay doors hissed open as containment systems engaged, klaxons blaring throughout the facility. Nyara erupted from the medical bay in a blur of bronze and light, her wings fully extended for the first time. The sight was magnificent and terrifying. Energy crackled around her as she thrust her hands forward, sending Walsh's puppet guards stumbling back with a wave of invisible force. "Run," she commanded, her patterns blazing. "The crystal will guide you to safety." Marcus didn't hesitate. With Julia and Henderson close behind, he sprinted for the emergency tunnels. The crystal burned in his pocket, pulling him like a compass needle. Behind them, he heard Walsh's voice distort into something inhuman, followed by sounds of combat. They ran through maintenance corridors and abandoned research sections, the crystal's warmth leading them deeper into the facility's forgotten reaches. Twice, they encountered more guards, moving with that same unnatural precision, but Julia's military training and Henderson's knowledge of the facility's layout helped them evade capture. Finally, they reached a massive blast door, its surface covered in warning signs. "The original chamber," Henderson wheezed out of breath. "It's where they first discovered something. The records were classified even from me." The crystal nearly burned through Marcus's pocket. When he pulled it out, it illuminated ancient symbols on the door, identical to those from Nyara's capsule. "They've been here before," Julia realized. "The stellar concordat, they found something here." A familiar harmonic voice echoed down the corridor. "What they found," Nyara said, appearing around the corner with wings folded and patterns dimmed but still standing proud, "is humanity's greatest weapon against the Shadowkin, your birthright." The blast door began to open on its own, revealing a chamber bathed in the same blue light that had filled Nyara's capsule. At its center stood a crystalline structure that seemed to sing to Marcus's very soul. "Now," Nyara said, her golden eyes reflecting the ancient light, "we awaken your true potential. The real war for Earth's survival is about to begin." Original chamber hummed with ancient power, its crystalline structure casting prismatic light across Marcus's face. The air felt charged, like the moment before a lightning strike. Beside him, Julia and Henderson stared in awe at the towering formation that pulsed in sync with Nyara's bioluminescent patterns. "Years ago, the Concordat left this seed chamber," Nyara explained, approaching the crystal. "We knew humanity's potential lay dormant, waiting for the right catalyst. The Shadowkin knew too. It's why they've worked so hard to prevent this moment." The scorching Mojave sun beat down mercilessly as Captain Marcus Reeves guided his patrol vehicle across the desert terrain. 3 weeks of routine border surveillance had dulled his senses, but something about today felt different. The unusual electromagnetic readings that had brought him to this remote sector weren't matching any known patterns. His vehicle's sensors chirped insistently, drawing his attention to a glowing dot on the tactical display. "Base, this is Reeves," he reported, adjusting his course. "Picking up an anomalous signature about 2 clicks east, moving to investigate." The response came through with a burst of static. "Copy that, Captain. Maintain protocol and report findings." As Marcus approached the coordinates, he noticed strange atmospheric distortions, like heat waves but more pronounced. The desert air crackled with an electric charge that made his skin tingle. Cresting a small rise, he saw it, a sleek oval capsule half buried in the sand, its metallic surface reflecting the harsh sunlight with an otherworldly iridescence. "Base, you're not going to believe this," Marcus breathed, activating his suit's protective systems. The capsule was roughly 15 feet long, covered in strange symbols that seemed to shift and change as he watched. No visible seams or entry points marked its smooth surface. Drawing his sidearm, Marcus approached cautiously. Years of military training screamed at him to wait for backup, but something about the capsule's gentle humming called to him. As he drew closer, a section of the surface rippled like liquid mercury, forming an opening. Inside, bathed in soft blue light, lay a figure that took his breath away. Female, humanoid, but definitely not human. Her skin was the color of polished bronze, marked with intricate patterns that pulsed with inner light. What appeared to be wings were folded tightly against her back, their membrane-like surface translucent and shimmering. She was wounded. Dark fluid seeped from a gash in her side, and her breathing came in shallow gasps. As Marcus leaned closer, her eyes snapped open. They were like liquid gold, with no pupils or irises, just swirling metallic depths that captured the light. "Please," she whispered in perfect English, her voice carrying harmonics that made Marcus's chest resonate. "They're coming." Before he could respond, his tactical display erupted with warnings. Multiple vehicles approaching fast, not military or law enforcement. The capsule's occupant struggled to rise, her wings unfurling slightly before she collapsed back with a pained gasp. Marcus made a split-second decision. "I'm getting you out of here," he said, reaching for her. "Can you move?" "The capsule," she managed, gesturing weakly at the wall. "It contains vital information, cannot fall into wrong hands." A quick scan revealed a small crystal embedded in the capsule's interior. Marcus pocketed it before carefully lifting the alien woman. She was surprisingly light, her skin warm to the touch despite her injuries. As he carried her to his vehicle, the approaching engines grew louder. "Hold on," he instructed, securing her in the passenger seat. "This might get rough." The capsule behind them suddenly began to pulse with energy. The alien woman pressed something on a bracelet he hadn't noticed before, and the structure imploded with a silent flash, leaving only a scorched patch of sand. "Self-destruct," she explained weakly. "Standard protocol." Marcus gunned the engine as 3 black SUVs crested the ridge behind them. "I'm Captain Marcus Reeves, Earth Defense Force," he said, swerving to avoid a burst of weapons fire from their pursuers. "Want to tell me who's trying to kill you?" "I am Nyara," she replied, her golden eyes flickering. "Ambassador of the Stellar Concordat, those pursuing us. They are the reason I came to warn your world." She pressed a hand to her wound, her patterns dimming. "Your planet is in danger, Captain, greater than you can imagine." Marcus's vehicle shot across the desert, kicking up a storm of sand in its wake. The crystal in his pocket pulsed warmly, and he knew with absolute certainty that his life, and possibly the fate of Earth itself, had just changed forever. The desert sun was setting when Marcus finally lost their pursuers, guiding his vehicle into a hidden canyon he knew from previous patrols. Nyara had fallen into a fitful sleep, her luminescent patterns pulsing weakly. The crystal he'd retrieved from her capsule grew warmer in his pocket, almost like it was responding to her condition. "Base, this is Reeves," he transmitted, keeping his voice low. "Mission status critical. Request immediate secure channel to Colonel Winters." Static crackled for several long moments before a familiar voice responded. "Marcus, what the hell is going on? Our sensors just detected a massive energy surge in your sector." "Julia," Marcus breathed in relief, grateful it was his old friend on duty. "I need emergency medical support at the Rabbit Hole facility, full containment protocols, and Julia, this goes nowhere near standard channels." "Understood," Colonel Winters replied after a pause. "But you better have one hell of an explanation." Nyara stirred beside him, her golden eyes focusing slowly. "They're called the Shadowkin," she said without preamble, her voice stronger but still carrying that strange, harmonic quality. "They've infiltrated governments across 3 galaxies, preparing for what they call the Great Liberation." Marcus guided the vehicle deeper into the canyon. "Liberation from what?" "Free will," Nyara replied, attempting to sit straighter. Her wings rustled softly, catching the dying sunlight. "The Shadowkin believe consciousness itself is a cosmic mistake. They seek to correct it." The crystal pulsed again, and Nyara's eyes widened. "You recovered the data core? Good. It contains proof of their infiltration, including their agents on Earth." She reached for it, then hesitated. "May I?" Marcus handed over the crystal, watching as her fingers traced its facets. The patterns on her skin synchronized with its pulsing. "The Stellar Concordat discovered their presence here 6 months ago. We tried official channels first, but—" She trailed off, pain crossing her features. "The Shadowkin had already compromised them," Marcus finished. "The pieces were falling into place. That's why you crashed here instead of making official contact. You're trying to warn us." "Yes, but they traced my emergency landing." Nyara's expression hardened. "The men pursuing us, they appear human, but they're not. The Shadowkin's first wave of infiltrators arrived decades ago." A distant engine sound made them both tense, but it was a familiar military transport. Julia had come through. The vehicle landed nearby, and medical personnel in hazmat suits approached cautiously. "They're friends," Marcus assured Nyara, seeing her tension. "They can help with your injuries." But Nyara gripped his arm, her touch sending a strange tingling through his body. "Captain, listen carefully. The crystal contains more than just data. It's a key to awakening human potential. Your species has dormant abilities, psychic defenses that make you naturally resistant to Shadowkin control. That's why they want to strike Earth first." The medical team was almost at their vehicle. Nyara's grip tightened. "They'll try to discredit me, paint me as a threat. The Shadowkin are masters of manipulation. Trust your instincts, Captain. They're stronger than you know." As if to demonstrate, her patterns flared brilliantly, and Marcus gasped as images flooded his mind. He saw vast ships hidden in dark space, armies of blank-faced beings moving in perfect, horrifying synchronization, and at the center of it all, something ancient and patient and utterly alien. The vision ended as the medical team reached them. Nyara released his arm, her expression both apologetic and determined. "Now you understand what we face." Julia approached as the medics carefully transferred Nyara to a stretcher. "Marcus, what have you gotten yourself into?" He watched Nyara's luminescent form disappear into the transport, the crystal now a reassuring weight in his pocket again. "Something bigger than all of us, Jules, and we're running out of time." The desert night was falling rapidly, stars appearing in the darkening sky. Marcus couldn't help but wonder how many of them had already fallen to the Shadowkin's influence. But Nyara's final mental touch had left him with something else, not just images of the enemy, but a sense of humanity's untapped strength. The coming war wouldn't just be fought with weapons, but with the very power of the human mind. "We need to get to the rabbit hole facility," he told Julia. "And then I need you to help me convince some very skeptical people that the human race is about to face its greatest test, and that our unlikely alien visitor might be our only hope of passing it." Distant explosions rocked the facility. Walsh's forces were getting closer. Marcus felt the crystal in his hand growing warmer, almost eager. "What exactly is humanity's potential?" Nyara's golden eyes met his. "Your minds are uniquely resistant to Shadowkin control, but more than that, you have the ability to free others from their influence. Each awakened human becomes a beacon of liberation." She gestured to the crystalline structure. "This chamber can activate these abilities, but the process is dangerous. Not everyone survives the awakening." "Of course there's a catch," Julia muttered, checking her weapon. "How long does this awakening take?" Another explosion, closer this time. Nyara's patterns flickered with concern. "Normally, days of preparation are required, but we don't have that luxury. Captain, the crystal you carry is synchronized to your biorhythms now. You're our best chance." Marcus stepped forward, but Henderson grabbed his arm. "Wait, the energy readings in here are off the charts. This could kill you." "If we do nothing, the Shadowkin will enslave humanity," Marcus replied, gently removing the scientist's hand. "Better to die fighting than live as a puppet." He turned to Julia. "Hold them off as long as you can." Julia nodded grimly, taking up a defensive position. "Just don't make me have to explain to your mother why I let you get vaporized by alien technology." Nyara guided Marcus to the center of the chamber, beneath the towering crystal. "Empty your mind," she instructed, her voice taking on that multi-layered harmonic quality. "Feel the resonance between your crystal and the seed chamber. Let it flow through you." Marcus closed his eyes, holding the crystal against his chest. At first, nothing happened. Then he felt it, a subtle vibration that seemed to sync with his heartbeat. The crystal's warmth spread through his body, and suddenly his consciousness expanded. He could feel everything: the facility's power systems, the approaching Shadowkin forces, the unique mental signatures of Julia and Henderson. Most incredibly, he sensed the dormant potential in them, waiting to be awakened. The chamber's crystal structure began to pulse rapidly, its light intensifying. Pain lanced through Marcus's body as ancient energies rewrote his neural pathways. He might have screamed. He couldn't tell any more where his physical form ended and the energy began. Through the agony, he heard Nyara's voice. "Accept the change, don't fight it." Images flooded his mind. Earth's past, when the Concordat first discovered humanity's potential. The Shadowkin's slow infiltration of galactic civilization, future possibilities branching out like a cosmic web. In that moment, Marcus understood why the Shadowkin feared humanity so much. The chamber doors exploded inward. Walsh entered, his human appearance flickering to reveal the writhing darkness beneath. Behind him, puppet soldiers moved in perfect unison, weapons raised. "How disappointing," Walsh's distorted voice echoed. "We could have guided humanity to perfection. Instead, you choose chaos and pain." Julia opened fire, but the puppet soldiers kept advancing, shrugging off hits that would have dropped a normal human. Henderson worked frantically at a control panel, trying to seal secondary entrances. Marcus wanted to help, but he was trapped in the transformation process. Nyara spread her wings, creating an energy barrier between their attackers and the crystal chamber. Her patterns blazed with power, but Marcus could sense her weakening. Then something clicked into place. The pain vanished, replaced by a surge of pure potential. Marcus opened his eyes, which now shone with the same golden light as Nyara's. He could see the dark tendrils of Shadowkin control wrapped around the soldiers' minds. "Enough," he said, his voice carrying new harmonics that made the chamber resonate. With a gesture, he sent out a wave of pure consciousness. Where it touched the puppet soldiers, the Shadowkin's control shattered. One by one, they dropped their weapons, awakening to their own minds again. Walsh snarled, his human form dissolving completely into a mass of living shadow. "This changes nothing. The liberation cannot be stopped. Even now, our ships approach Earth." "You're wrong," Marcus replied, stepping forward. Each movement left trails of golden light in the air. "Humanity is awakening, and we're coming for you." He reached out with his newfound power, trying to break the Shadowkin's hold on Walsh's human host. But the creature was too deeply entrenched. With a howl of rage and fear, it abandoned Walsh's body, which crumpled lifelessly to the ground. The shadow form dissipated into the facility's ventilation system, escaping. "Let it go," Nyara said, lowering her energy barrier. "We have more important work to do." She turned to Julia and Henderson, who were staring at Marcus with a mixture of awe and concern. "Your friend has become the first of Earth's new defenders, but he cannot fight alone." "The awakening," Julia said, understanding dawning in her eyes. "We need to undergo it too." Marcus nodded, feeling the power of the seed chamber pulsing in harmony with his transformed consciousness. "Earth needs an army of awakened minds before the Shadowkin fleet arrives." He managed a smile, though his entire being thrummed with newfound energy. "Who's next?" 3 days after Marcus's awakening, the underground chamber had become a beacon of hope. Over 50 people had undergone the transformation, each awakening strengthening the psychic network that now connected them. Julia and Henderson had been among the first, their minds adding unique perspectives to the collective consciousness they all shared. Marcus stood at a hastily assembled command center, his golden eyes tracking the holographic display of Earth's orbit. Beside him, Nyara's patterns pulsed with worried energy. "They're coming, faster than we anticipated." The Shadowkin fleet had dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system, 12 massive ships that defied normal physics, their surfaces rippling with living darkness. Even across the vast distance, Marcus could feel their malevolent intent. "How many awakened humans do we need?" Julia asked, her own eyes now sharing the same golden glow as Marcus's. The transformation had enhanced her natural tactical abilities, letting her coordinate their growing resistance with unprecedented efficiency. "More than we have," Henderson answered, his fingers dancing across floating screens of data. The scientist's awakening had connected him more deeply to technology, letting him interface directly with their systems. "At current projection, less than 1% of humans are compatible with the immediate awakening process. We'd need months to build a proper defense force." "We have hours," Nyara said grimly. Her wings rustled with agitation. "Once their fleet arrives, they'll begin mass consciousness suppression. Billions will fall under their control within days." Marcus felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. Through the psychic network, he could sense the fear and determination of every awakened human. They were powerful, yes, but still so few against an enemy that had conquered entire galaxies. Then he felt something else, a new consciousness touching the edge of their network. Thousands of them approaching rapidly from above. Nyara gasped, her patterns flaring brilliantly. "The Concordat, they received my signal." The holographic display lit up with new signatures as a fleet of crystalline ships emerged from hyperspace, their designs similar to Nyara's capsule, but on a massive scale. The lead vessel transmitted a message that resonated directly in their minds. "Children of Earth," a chorus of harmonic voices declared, "you are not alone in this fight." The Shadowkin fleet accelerated, obviously hopping to strike before the reinforcements could arrive. But they had underestimated humanity's newest advantage. Marcus stepped onto a raised platform in the chamber's center, connecting more deeply with the psychic network. "This is what we've trained for," he projected, his words reaching every awakened mind. "Together with our allies, we make our stand, not just for Earth, but for free will across the galaxy." The next hours were chaos. The Shadowkin ships entered Earth's orbit, immediately beginning their consciousness suppression broadcast. Billions of humans stumbled, feeling the psychic pressure trying to overwhelm their minds. But the awakened ones stood firm, creating shields of pure thought that protected major population centers. The Concordat fleet engaged the Shadowkin ships in space, their crystalline vessels firing beams of pure mental energy. On Earth, Marcus led teams of awakened humans to key strategic locations, combating Shadowkin infiltrators and freeing those already under their control. Through it all, Nyara remained by his side, her presence strengthening his resolve. They moved as one, their combined abilities greater than the sum of their parts. Where they found humans under Shadowkin control, they worked together to break the dark bonds, adding more minds to their growing resistance. But the enemy was powerful. For every mind they freed, dozens more fell to the Shadowkin's influence. The pressure was immense, and Marcus could feel some of their psychic shields beginning to crack. "There's another way," Nyara said suddenly, her golden eyes wide with realization. "The seed chamber, it's not just for awakening individuals, at full power connected to the Concordat fleet." "We could trigger a mass awakening," Henderson finished, his mind quickly grasping the implications. "But the energy required would burn out the chamber. We'd only get one chance. And it could kill anyone not compatible with the transformation," Julia added grimly. Marcus felt the weight of the choice. Risk millions to save billions with no guarantee of success. Through their connection, he sensed Nyara's confidence in humanity's strength. She believed they could survive it. More importantly, she believed they deserved the chance to try. "Every human deserves the choice the Shadowkin would take from them," Marcus declared. "We give them that chance." The plan came together with desperate speed. The Concordat fleet moved into formation around Earth, their crystalline ships creating a resonance pattern with the seed chamber. Awakened humans worldwide positioned themselves at key ley line intersections, ready to help channel and control the coming energy wave. In the original chamber, Marcus stood with Nyara at the heart of the crystalline structure. Their hands clasped, patterns of light dancing between them. Julia and Henderson coordinated the external teams, their minds linked in perfect synchronization. "Whatever happens," Nyara said softly, her mental voice carrying layers of emotion that transcended words, "humanity has already proven itself greater than we ever imagined." Marcus squeezed her hand. "We're just getting started." The chamber exploded with light as they initiated the pulse. Energy cascaded through the crystal structure, amplified by the Concordat fleet above. A wave of pure consciousness swept across the planet, touching every human mind with the potential for awakening. Millions screamed as their dormant abilities were forced into activation. Billions more fell unconscious as their minds instinctively protected themselves from the transformation. The Shadowkin ships reeled as their control was shattered by the sheer force of humanity's awakening. When the light faded, Earth was forever changed. Nearly 100 million humans had awakened, their minds joining the vast network of consciousness. The Shadowkin fleet retreated in disarray, their greatest weapon now useless against a species they had underestimated. In the chamber, Marcus held Nyara as she marveled at what they had achieved. Through their enhanced senses, they could feel the planet pulsing with newfound power and purpose. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, not as victims or soldiers, but as equals. "What happens now?" Julia asked, helping Henderson collect data on the transformation's effects. Marcus looked at Nyara, seeing his own golden eyes reflected in hers. "Now we rebuild, we learn, we grow." He smiled, feeling the potential of countless awakened minds ready to explore their new reality. "And we make sure the Shadowkin never threaten free will again." Above them, the Concordat fleet took up protective positions around Earth, their crystalline ships glittering like stars. But the real beauty was the network of human consciousness, shining with possibilities that even the ancient Concordat had never dreamed possible. The age of sleeping potential was over. Humanity was awake, and the galaxy would never be the same.